Now then, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson. We're going to do an update today on what's going on with both Mbeumo or Mbeumo. He says Mbeumo. Everyone else says Mbeumo. I reckon he knows how to say his own name. Everyone in the chat might have written me about how to say his name. Say how he says it. Anyway, bit of an update. According to Caught Offside, Spurs have had contact over trying to beat United to the punch when it comes to Mbeumo. And sources close to the situation have confirmed reports that United have come back in with a second improved bid for him after Brentford rejected our original opening offer. United are prepared to meet his 230k a week wage demands, is supposedly what they are saying. And with Thomas Frank going to Spurs, they're talking that might be one of the ways in which he could be swayed. Obviously, they also have Champions League football on top of that as well. Romano reckons that Mbeumo was clear with Brentford that he only wants Manchester United. So it feels like people are just trying to create a little bit of news about this in terms of here's what could happen, I guess. It feels like it's quite clear. It feels like he only wants Manchester United. It feels like United just need to get the deal done with Brentford and he will be a United player. I'm not worried about this one. I feel like this one is pretty much in the can. And as soon as Brentford give us the green light, he will be a Manchester United player. And I think it will be very quick and very straightforward. In terms of Osimhen, an update has emerged in terms of Osimhen with the expectation that he is set to leave Napoli, but he wants to stay in Europe. Reportedly turned down a huge offer to move to Al-Hilal. They are just getting pied left, right and centre, aren't they? Even though they are absolutely peeling 20s off. He scored 37 goals on loan last season at Galatasaray after a fallout with Napoli, and they struggled to secure a permanent move for him. Al-Hilal turned their attention to Osimhen after missing out on Bruno Fernandes last week. They agreed a £63 million deal with Napoli. They booked travel and a medical for him. And then Ben Jacobs reported that he just rejected him and he didn't even fly out there for him. So Ornstein also reported that Victor Osimhen is not on United's agenda for the summer. His wage demands have reportedly put United off, which must mean that they're pretty spectacular. ESPN are reporting that United do not see him being a fit for Ruben Amorim's forward line. So I think that probably closes the chapter on Osimhen to Manchester United, unless we're unable to bring Gyökeres. I think it's quite clear Gyökeres is United's #1 target. Whether or not a formal bid has gone in yet, I'm pretty sure that the manager wants him, and I'm pretty sure that the club are probably working towards trying to make that a reality. Whether that happens or not is anybody's guess. Obviously, I'm not privy to whether that's going to go down or not. Teresa says, when is Mbeumo going to be here? We go. Come in, I guess, as soon as the deal with Brentford is done. I think that's the only hold-up. I think it'll be very quick once that's happened. John Duke says, 180 sounds more like the number for Mbeumo. Yeah, it probably is. It was caught offside, so they've probably gone on the maximum. I mean, we say this all the time, didn't we? Look at the stuff for Cunha. It was reported in dollars. Why was it reported in dollars between two English clubs? And it was the big one as well for like all the add-ons added. Ridiculous. Bryan says, been watching his goals at Coventry from 2 seasons ago. Take out the penalties, and he's scoring from positions that Højlund got into without having a shot. Well, that's a bonus, isn't it? And Mbeumo will be reported in Italian lira, says Notch. Fact. Tiger says, Spurs ain't hijacking anything. Let's hope not, mate. Calvin says, Kenyan shillings. What is the Kenyan currency? I don't even know what Kenyan currency is. Malcolm says, what are the chances of getting Osimhen on loan, do you think? Well, he ended up at Galatasaray on loan, didn't he? So you can't say it's not. You can't say it's 0% chance, can you? I would think it's unlikely, but I can't imagine it is likely. Neil says certain deals need doing pre-June 30th out of funds being held and then post-July 1st for new PSR. Good to know. Lee says, any news on how Zidane Iqbal's been doing since recovery? A possible option future to return? I wouldn't have thought so at the moment, no, but I obviously I follow him on socials, so I only know what I've seen on socials. I haven't spoken to him for a couple of months, so I'm not sure beyond that. But yeah, he's had a rough injury, and he's in the process of recovering from it at the moment. Gabriel says, what do I think about Hugo Larsson from Frankfurt? I don't know anything about him. I would have to go and look into him properly. Stephen in the comments said, Osimhen is a walking red flag. We need to stop signing players with a team. Thoughts on Xerxes being a starter next year? If I get the chance to finish it today, I'm hoping to do a video where I do look at how United might line up with a 3-4-1-2. Bit annoyed that Carl Anker did the video with a fan channel downstairs where he looked at the 3-4-1-2, because I actually have been talking about that for a while in terms of we might change our shape and go a little bit narrower. The angle I'm coming at that one is, what's Amorim done in the past? Has he adapted? Because he has. When has he adapted, and what were the circumstances of him adapting? And is this something that we might see moving forward? So if I get that done, if I get it done today, I'm going to Turkey at 6 a.m. So if I get that done today, I'll get that out at some point this week. If I don't get it done today, it'll be one that I push to next week. So we'll see. Is Gyökeres' interest genuine? Who knows? Benny says, is Sesko not a great idea for us? Don't know. Ben says, Mbeumo won't go Spurs as he doesn't want to take a step down at this stage of his career. Kelvin says, Xerxes, I love this player. Any possibility of getting them, considering last season we went for 2 strikers? I don't think we've got the money to. CTB says, if he can stay fit, Xerxes could play striker and Bruno could cover the flash 9 role when Xerxes isn't fit. Steven says, have you got coloured magnets like Carl's magnetic board? Do I have got? I haven't got any pictures of it. I do have a fucking enormous. I've got it for the football team, but I thought it would fit in the back of my Land Rover quite comfortably. But it's not. It's a nose. You've got to take all the brackets off it every single time you do it. So I've got this like 2 meter by 2 meter massive whiteboard that I actually just lives in my garage, not doing anything. I could probably do something in there with it, you know. Tony says, what's happening in Turkey? So I am having a full health checkup, like a partnership with Memorial Hospital where I go. So I'm going to do a video for Howson IRL. The title of that video is, I got fit, but am I healthy? So obviously mainlining Red Bull for nearly a decade, or probably more than a decade, is not healthy. I don't think anyone's about to tell you that. I don't think there's a single doctor on this planet that would say, that's a great idea, crack on. So I got fit, but, you know, internally, what's going on? I think that's quite an interesting video. So I've got like 4 days. I'm having literally everything from blood work, osteo stuff done, all of my organs checked, got an MRI, a brain scan. Literally everything is going to be checked. So look forward to that in a couple of weeks once I get back from Turkey. But if you want to follow me on socials, I'll be doing a bit of an update each day as that's going down. Theo says, Lucas Chevalier only costs 40 million. Tomorrow there should be a video going out, which is a goalkeeper shortlist. He's on that shortlist as a bit of a tip for you guys, so go and check that out. Tenzig says, good morning from Texas. Good morning. It's quite early in Texas, I believe. Andrew says, how about signing João Paulino if we have the budget? I don't think we'd have the budget for that. Josh says, I watch every single video on demand, but it's the first time I managed to catch a live. Big fan. Oh, well played. Can we expect some bright white teeth on your return? No, I'm having nothing done. I'm certainly not having a hair transplant. I think my hair's pretty damn strong. Hair game on point. So no, nothing, no treatment done for me. But the reason that people can get the teeth and the hair and stuff like that done is because the medical work out there is high quality, and well, I guess it's high quality in some places. I guess it varies like everywhere. But you can get high quality stuff at pretty good prices. So that's why people go out to Turkey for it. No, I'm not having my teeth done. I'm not having a hair transplant. I'm having no work done. I'm just having a load of tests. Sean says, your hair sickens me as someone of a similar age. I think I'm set for life with this now. I don't think it'll be a drama, will it? Kelvin says, if we get Diblin after missing out on Franco, I don't think so, no. I think the money that they want for him, like, you're literally looking at first choice, starter, good to go, and Mbeumo sort of prices for Diblin, which makes no sense to me. You know, what Cunha went for, what Mbeumo's going for, that's what they want for Diblin, and that doesn't make any level of sense for me. I think Diblin's a really good prospect. I think he's a really good player. I think he's one that's going to grow into being genuinely top class in a few years, but he ain't there yet. And I think you can't justify spending that sort of cash when we've got so many other holes in the squad. Like, if you manage to get Mbeumo over the line, you still need a striker. You've got to get a striker over the line. If you get a striker over the line, you can't really justify another signing for dibbling of that sort of money, especially when you desperately require a central midfielder. So I think it'd be nuts to go for him as well. Have I ever been fortunate enough to find myself in Bury? Yeah, not often, thankfully. What position do I think are a priority for us? Striker. As soon as Mbeumo's done, striker. I mean, striker arguably before Mbeumo, but striker, and then central midfielder. I think a goalkeeper's quite far down the list for us. Osimhen or Gyökeres? Gyökeres. It was Gyökeres anyway, I thought, for me. But I think even more. I think even more now with the news coming out. Yeah. Can I talk about more experiences in the army tours? There's nothing to say. They were pretty fucking normal, very average, boring tours. Galvatron says, it won't be this season, it won't be the season after. When United look at players like Diblin and Rigg, if they're available and doing good. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think it'll be a couple of seasons before we can justify that sort of signing. Saxo Seb says, I guess we have to stick to Onana. I think we might have to this season, yeah. If they move him on, because they've found something that works for us, then cool. If not, I don't think he's as much of a drama for next season. I think you can probably live with him for another year. B King says, Gyökeres is so similar to Højlund, it worries me a bit, apart from that he scores goals and can run across the front post. Phil says, how do Steve from the beach in Crete? It's a lovely part of the world. Is it happening today? I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Sinan says, Onana was and is the main problem. I completely disagree. It's the lack of goals, which has been United's problem. United go 1-0 behind. We've got no way of getting in. Like, we literally, like, how can you say Onana's the biggest problem when we can't score? Our forward line doesn't score goals. How can you call Onana the biggest problem? Was the biggest problem. He might be going forward. But last season, it was 1,000,000% the fact that we couldn't score goals. Didn't he perform his XG against? Yeah, he literally did, yeah. We should have conceded like another 10 goals on top of what we actually conceded because he saved more than he was expected to save. So how is he the biggest? Like, it's fucking nonsense. Don't talk shit. Has he made errors? Yeah, he has, yeah. He's made errors. I'm not sitting here saying he's not. But the lack of goals has killed us more. Buffy says, how's the calf? It's tender to touch. I am looking to try and rest it entirely for a week. My plan is I have an engine class at Urban Reform a week on Tuesday. If I can do 3 intervals of 600 metres in that, I think I'll be good to go for the hybrid games a week on Sunday with Ash. Ash did a simulation yesterday of the hybrid games that we're doing. Took him 1 hour and 14 minutes. So he's good to go with that. I just got to see if I can get my calf fit. It's only 600 metres at a time that I run, so if I can go slow and push through it, I'll be able to finish it. But I'll do a test on my run. I'll do no running for another week tomorrow, and I'll see how it is after that. But it's pretty tender to touch at the moment. Where's the best place to get my tuxedo for a Saturday night? Oh, yeah, it's the Paddock Awards do this weekend. I totally forgot. Yeah, wherever you want. Any word on a paddock friendly in Ireland this summer? Lads have got 5 days to make sure they book their flights. At the moment, it's only me book my flight. So if the rest of the lads don't book the flight, I'll be cancelling it. Any players targeted in the free agent market? I haven't heard, actually. Any truth to the Hayden Hackney rumours? I haven't seen any Hayden Hackney rumours. Callum says, am I less in the know with clubs news than I was a few years ago? It seems like you either don't get it or don't share info like you used to. It comes from a numerous amount of sources, sometimes players, sometimes agents, sometimes the club itself. And obviously a lot of that hierarchy at United especially has changed. So yeah, also I'm a bit more guarded with it than I ever was been if I get stuff. I still do hear stuff. But it's not worth putting out there because you're not in control of what happens with it. So you live and learn and you grow, don't you? And the longer you're doing it, the more you realise that not really a lot of fucking point in putting some stuff out there when you don't change. Like some of the stuff that we got, we heard quite a lot of stuff on certain players this summer, and they've already signed for somebody else. So you're like, good job we didn't put that out. Ollie says, are we going to sign a midfielder? I feel we need one. Also, thoughts on Mendes last night. I didn't watch the games last night. I'm just having a complete decompress and chill. I was also packing for Turkey last night. So, yeah, I didn't watch any of them last night. Lee says, Steve, do I think our side or other Prem teams will benefit from the free player role? I know it takes a huge, rare talent, but I think Bruno and Mbeumo can, possibly Bruno so Mbeumo can sit a bit. That's one of the things to look at, accommodating Bruno for the 3-4-1-2 formation switch. Absolutely going to be having a look at. What was the Maguire story we had a while ago? I'd said I'd tell us if he leaves. Well, he's not left, for starters. Jape says, 5k BP, you mean PB? My 5k PB, not BP, at the moment is 1953. I've hit sub 20 twice. I would like to get to the point where I can hit sub 20 every time I do a 5k, but I'm not there yet. Lack of movement on Jonathan David is baffling. I agree. I think there's been some people been in touch with him by the looks of it, but yeah, obviously he's not found a deal that suits him yet. He's in control, isn't he? When you're a free agent and you're good, like he is, he'll get some takers for sure. James says sub 20 is insane. It's not insane. It's a decent standard. That's all it is. It's not insane. Insane's like sub 16. That's fucking insane. We've got players in Paddock that can do 16, 15, actually. I think one of them's 15. I think one of the younger lads is 15. Cam is a 16. Like, there's lads there that are doing real fucking good times. Impressed by your 5k. What's your 10? I've only done a few 10s. So the one I did in the city centre, that was a 53-minute, but I literally had to stop for 2 minutes because my calf went. So I probably would have done course for a sub 50. The ones I've done indoor have been 47 minutes. I'd like to get to sub 45 on a 10k. I'd be pretty happy with that. Is Jay quicker than me over 10k? Yeah, by about. I think Jay can hit sub 40. Jay's pretty quick on his 10ks. Carney with a super chat says, do I think we need a left back? No. We should be going for Theo Hernandez, 30 million. I like Theo Hernandez. I think he's a good player. And if he's available for 30 million, that's a real good, there's a real good price. But I don't think we need a left back. With Diogo Leon, with Harry Armas, with Dorgu, with Luke Shaw, with Martinez, I don't think we need a left back. I think we're okay. Danny says, what do you think of all the rearmament talk? Our army couldn't even occupy the Isle of Wight. We're looking, I think our GDP spend on military is like less than 3%, like 2.8%, something like that. And they're talking up, or America's talking up, wanting everyone to get to 5%. I don't know if we're going to get to 5%. If we do 5% GDP, that's nearly a doubling of how much we spend. That should mean better facilities, better armaments, but it also should mean just more soldiers. Like, you can't keep reducing the army. Like, I think it's like 76, 78,000, something like that at the moment. I think 100,000 is a real good number for it. I would like to see it grow, for sure. Do I think we'll get Donnarumma? I'm pretty sure we won't get Donnarumma. If anything, I would say I'm pretty sure we won't get Donnarumma. Any news on when we'll get Martinez back? No. Be interesting. Yeah, it'd be very interesting. Is Diego Leon coming to first team? Not a clue. We'll find out on pre-season, won't we, I think, how good he really is. CTB says, I love that Ineos are properly backing the manager. Seems like they're willing to sell good players like Garnacho or Menu because they don't fit the system. Yeah, the system has to come first. And I know people will be like, well, what happens when blah-de-blah? Ultimately, you've got to go all in on your manager. You've got to back him. You'll never know if he's going to work if you don't go all in on him, I think. Am I concerned that Mbeumo could go Tottenham with Frank? No, sounds like he just wants United, and that works for me. Vaughn says, blessings from Jamaica. Cheers, our kid. Has Pep spent more on defence than the UK? Feels like it, doesn't it? But no. I mean, how much we spend on defence is genuinely mental. But yeah, it is. One of the things that I went to a really good talk. I'm a fucking nerd for this shit, right? So you just have to bear with me. I went to a talk with an author at the National Army Museum a couple of months ago. And one of the really interesting things that came out of the talk that he did was he spoke about how the British forces basically went to the NATO catalogue. The British military for decades has always been incredibly innovative. You know, we used to use British vehicles, British weapons, British optics, British missiles, British communications technology. But over the course of the global war on terror, that evolved into being, you know, we would pick up, you know, this from Germany, this from America, this from, you know, all these different NATO countries. And that's a net negative for the country. It means money going out of the country. It's a lot. British defence is a lot of money. Like, so the more industry that you can support within your own country, the better. And it's better from a security point of view. Like, you don't want to be buying weapons and stuff even from allies, because you don't control how they can be beaten and how they're vulnerable. So it's better to obviously you need things that are compatible with other nations, radios and things like that. But like, you also want to have as much native as possible, so they're less vulnerable to being, you know, tracked, listened to, hacked, all that sort of stuff. So that was a really interesting talking about that. Now maybe that's what the government needs to do, is to invest into British industry and have British stuff for the British military, because it's good for the country, it's good for jobs. Like, it's a net positive all around, isn't it? Kevin says Mobland's a really cool TV show. Thanks for the recommendation. It's good, in it. They've commissioned season 2 now as well, which I'm excited for. MF says I would never regret selling a player whose attitude tells me he thinks he's bigger than the club. Not sure who that's in relation to. I'm guessing that's Garnacho, but I agree. 50 Shilling says there's always trade agreement between countries to trade certain military equipments. They are, however, there are also modifications. You'll never get the full spec that they keep for their own military. Never going to happen. Greg says, any chance of Al-Hilal signing any of our players? Doesn't feel like it, does it? Stephen Harris says, the SA-80 was innovative. It taught new recruits how to be really good at clearing stoppages. I had a bolt explode in training on an A1. The A2 was solid. I didn't get any stoppages with the A2, but the A1, yeah. I had we were doing a section attacking training on blanks, and I fired like 4 rounds, and I had like 6 mags, and I had to like mag dump in a bush afterwards. I got absolutely filled in by my section commander afterwards, because I was like, my rifle's not worked for this entire time. I was standing on the cocking handle to get it to go, and it had locked inside the breech. But then when I put it on full auto and I fired them off, they fired without a break. Yeah, thought I was chatting shit. CTB says, I'm left-handed. I'm not a fan of our rifles. I'm left-handed. I'm also left-eye dominant, and you just have to fucking learn and put up with it. Bano says, any pathway for McTominay to return? No, I think he's done now. I think he'd be mad to come back, and I think we'd be mad to want him to come back. Danny says, I agree, but I do worry about talking up war all the time. Look, it's probably going to happen every generation. I think there's just a need to get amongst it for whatever reasons. It's going to happen probably. Daniel says, you said goalkeeper is quite far down the list, and I agree, but I'm hearing more news on keepers than midfielders at the moment. What are my thoughts on the Emi Martinez stuff? I think that's probably because it comes from other sources. I think United have kept their cards quite close to their chest this season, which I'm impressed with and I like. Dean says, I wish there was an alternative timeline where Al-Hilal decided they needed a Rashford, Sancho and Garnacho front three. Someone needs to sell them that, don't they? Andrew says, thoughts on Jason Wilcox getting promoted as Director of Football and Brailsford stepping aside and going to Head of Sport at Ineos but staying on the United board. I'm going to do a video on that, because that is something that I wanted to cover, but I was trying to get some more info before I did it. I didn't just want to react to the news. I wanted to be like, right, why has this happened? And you know, blah, blah, blah. Jockey says, I overheard some officers here in Bermuda mentioning reviving conscription to increase the numbers in case of us being needed to assist England. I think if you pay attention, I don't really believe in coincidences. I don't think that this 5% NATO spend thing has come out of thin air this weekend. I think when you think about the fact that when Sunak was Prime Minister, they have a dedicated studio inside. You remember COVID? That they was using that indoor studio, right? They have an indoor studio. Why did Sunak rush out in the rain to give a briefing about there might be some conscription coming in, that when he did it, like whenever it was, and with no thought behind it a while ago, just before a general election, that felt like an absolute mad thing to do. There was no political win for him to do it. There was no need to announce that sort of stuff. It felt like that was, I don't know what, it didn't feel right, that. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to see some sort of, I mean, even the latest defence review, they're talking about more cadets and things like that coming in. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something going on, but I don't know what. Dave says, Brian Casey, because Mobland wanted a more broader Irish accent, not Pierce posh one. What's the reaction been in Ireland to the Mobland accent fiasco with Piers Brosnan? Piers Brosnan, for those who don't know, is Irish. However, his Irish accent is worse than mine. Like, I don't understand what's going on with that accent. And is that what they're saying? Does he have a posh Irish accent? And they wanted to, I don't know, working class him up a little bit or something like that. I can't tell the difference. His accent's horrendous. Like, his accent is bad. And so's Helen Mirren's. I'm pretty sure she might have Irish heritage on some level as well. It's fucking awful, the pair of them. H. Stewart says, Gyökeres has worked with Amorim before. He wants the move, from what we hear. It's the man Amorim wants, so why are we talking about alternatives? I think it'd be just a case of, can we afford it? Richard said, I think Helen Mirren's was worse as it went on. Yeah, I agree. And her American accent wasn't good in Yellowstone or 1923 either. She's a fucking badass actress. And her roles that she's played in both of those are mega. But yeah, her accents are, a little bit iffy. Albo says, F their conscription. I'm never fighting for those criminals. And as a veteran and a soldier, I wouldn't want conscription either. Fuck that noise. Dave says, I'm Irish, Steve, both terrible. Don says, we will regret not selling Bruno, not for losing Europa final with 1 game a week. Will help our league progress. Adam says, Turkey, Poland, Finland, all more prepared than Britain. That's why rearm, keep up with the Allies. I think I'd get fascinated by this sort of stuff, but like, the battlefield's changing in a big way. Obviously drones, obviously the fiber optic drones, and you get innovation in battlefields like that all the time. But I think it's the innovation of AI. When you see what AI is capable of doing, flying 1,000 drones at once and having them all identify and prioritize targets, that's fucking mental. How you deal with that as an individual troop in a woodblock, that gives me a headache thinking about. Yeah, that's hard work, that is. Skeptic Engineer says, Piers Brosnan's Irish accent is the worst I've ever heard. It's bad, isn't it? I'm trying to think. Was it Brad Pitt? Did he have a shit Irish accent in... what was that film? It was an IRA film a while ago with Brad Pitt. I can't remember the bloody name of it. Is it In the Name of the Father? Did he have a bad one in that? Bryan says, would Gareth Keenan make a good assistant to the captain after the Territorial Army? The Devil's Own, that was it. Yeah, no, Snatch is good. His accent in Snatch is wicked. Would I like a Russian drone tracing me across a field? Fuck no. It's awful. people commenting Brosnan is Irish. We know. Roosby says, do I think if Amorim doesn't get who he wants, Gyökeres, we will go same path as Ollie and Jose? Different board in charging it. Jason Wilcox especially. Different. Movenden says, why did you leave the military? It's probably more of a long-winded story than I would want to cover in this live this morning. Maybe we'll touch on it one day. Maybe it's one for IRL. And maybe we'll see. Maybe maybe that's the story's not completely over with that. Sell Mason Mount ASAP. I think there's zero chance of Amorim doing that. I will be honest with you, brother. Ian says Piers Brosnan has a posh Irish accent, but he's also from Louth. Did I say that right? So his accent will be a bit odd to people not from Ireland anyway. Haven't seen Mobland though. It's bad. It definitely sounds like someone who's never been to Ireland trying to do an Irish accent from something that they've read. It's inexplicably bad. Thoughts on Retegui as an option? I don't think he is an option. I think he's a good player, but I think he costs too much. Anyways, that'll do for me today. Quick little update on hopefully we get Mbeumo over the line. It seems like Osimhen is a no-go for United from United's angle. But either way, cheers to everyone that's joined us this morning. Hope you all have a good Monday, productive week. Like I said, I'll be in Turkey as of tomorrow morning, but I've got a cameraman with me anyway, so I can go live at any moment if anything does break. I'll have a pretty busy day tomorrow with the fly-in, and Wednesday's a pretty busy day, but I should be available to do some stuff in the evenings and all that sort of stuff. But either way, we'll drop anything as soon as it can, if we have to anything to react to, which I think we're in for a busy week, you know. But cheers for tuning in as always. I'll catch you lot in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.